Early September in 2023, after a long day of college, I had just stopped off the bus, escaping the upper deck of gossiping girls, the loud Indian on the phone to his cousin, and the fat sweaty old man that was sat right next to me. There were around 34 other seats. With a sigh of relief, I began strolling from the bus stop back towards my house. It was around a 3.5 minute walk, so I had just enough time to listen to a super short, motivational alpha shark lone wolf grind hustle video. Fantastic, I thought to myself. As the video played through my AirPods, I felt the testosterone pulsating throughout my body, causing me to roam the quiet streets with a slight stagger in my step like Conor McGregor. I think I could literally feel my balls grow in size. Nearly home, hyping me up even more, the motivational speaker told me, in order to reach great success, it is an absolute necessity to get 4 hours of sleep so you can win the day, not waste time, be productive and efficient, and chase your dreams. Looking down at everyone else on the street, I thought to myself, none of these people are going to make it in life. They don't have the natural hustle like myself. They don't have the motivation or discipline skills like I do. Back then, little did I know there was actually an emotion called happiness. Seems absurd, right? It was sad. I just didn't know any better at the time. I felt like no one could stop me, not even my mum telling me to go to bed. That evening, back at my mum's house, the moon gracefully rose, lighting up the streets of Bristol. The day was coming to an end. But not for me. Like a human visiting a foreign alien village, my mum stepped foot into my dark, sweaty dungeon. I couldn't imagine the look on her face. I got annoyed at her, she didn't knock. She was about to witness Amani in the grind state mode. The Amani that has no distractions, and the Amani that makes his mum bring up his dinner because he has no time to waste and needs to get the work done. In her eyes, I probably looked like a raging drug addict, veins pumping with heroin, not willing to take a step back from the drugs. Okay, maybe that was a little far, but you get the image. As I sat hunched over at my desk, she would ask me, well, I can't go that high. Why don't you go out and meet up with your friends tomorrow? After all, it'll be one of the hottest days before the winter starts, so you should make the most of it. It is either work or waste my time in the sun, I thought to myself. You know which one I picked. I looked at her as if she was speaking a different language. At the time, I had no sense of enjoyment or fun in my life. Just work, grind, and just be a pretty boring person, to be honest. This went on for a while. However, I did begin to achieve some of my goals, taking more steps towards the vision I had for myself. But was I enjoying myself or having a sense of fun in my life? Nope. Not at all. A typical day would go like this. Wake up at 4 a.m, crack 6 eggs into a glass and down it, followed by 1076 push-ups consecutively. And then sometimes I did feel like having days like this after watching a movie with the main character pumped on steroids, doing all these super alpha things. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But no, to your surprise, that never happened. Here is how a typical day actually went. After staying up until 3 a.m. watching motivational videos on how to become the alpha wolf that dominated the gym, I would wake up at around 6 a.m, straight to the floor to do my half rep push-ups, followed by a 30-minute stretch and a 20-minute meditation, nearly making me fall back asleep. Like Spider-Man, from the floor I jumped straight to my desk to do journaling. I didn't really find it useful, but my favorite self-improvement YouTuber said it was a necessity to do it, so I carried on with it. After this, I would read a couple of pages of a self-development book while having a motivational speech on my laptop in the background as I was reading it. It would be around 9 a.m. by the time I finished reading. 3 hours since I woke up. Now it was time to get myself into nature. A 30-minute walk would do. Then, once I got back home, I would shower, then grab myself some food. The rest of the day would revolve around this manner, always focusing on ticking off the next task. Not much actual work would be done, as I would find myself in analysis paralysis, consuming as much information as possible or taking no action at all. In the evenings, I wouldn't go out with my friends, as all the information I consumed stated going to clubs is bad, going out with your friend is bad, you can only have fun once you're rich, don't waste your time with people, just grind and stay focused and disciplined. I call this stage of my life the self-improvement doom hole. I was yearning for a sense of enjoyment, but it just wasn't there. It wasn't until later in 2023, around late November when it happened. The alarm piercing the silence in my bedroom. Stretching and yawning, I sprung out of my bed, ready to take on the day. Today was a full day at college. Business, sociology, and economics. This is going to be fun, I sarcastically thought to myself. Early and on time, I began my 3.5 minute walk from my home towards the bus stop. It was one of those winter days where the sun beamed in the clear blue skies. However, it was around 1 degrees, cold and fresh. Today was different. In my AirPods were playing Ghost Everyone, Grind in Silence, Shock Them All, powerful motivational speech. A different motivational speech to the ones before. Exiting the top of my street, nearly at the bus stop, I saw the number 75 bus cruise past me, so I began sprinting after it, the motivational speaker in my headphones boosting my speed by at least a couple of seconds. I started praying to myself that the driver would wait up for me. I missed it by 5 seconds. Looks like we're gonna have to be walking, I said to myself. I put on one of those longer motivational speeches, as the next bus was in 1.5 hours, so I would have to walk at least 40 minutes at a minimum. I began walking down the long, endless street, with a slight stride in my step, hoping it would be over anytime soon. Only 10 minutes away from college, I passed the roundabout, but as I was just about to cross the road at the Pelican Crossing, a large construction van blasting a drum and bass remix of Adele came swerving around the corner. Just like how you see it in movies where there's a drunk driver swerving around the streets uncontrollably, easily able to crash into a car or run someone over. It was just like that. There were 3 guys in the front, all with skinheads, with the biggest grins on their face I had ever seen. I assume there was a combined total of 0 GCSEs in that car. For my amazing Americans, GCSEs are the equivalent of a high school diploma. As they skipped the lights, all 3 of them stopped bouncing their heads to the music and looked down at me, patiently waiting to cross the road. The skinhead in the middle shouted some gibberish and just laughed at me, his friends joining in too. I looked up at them, all serious and frowning, hoping these useless idiots would leave anytime soon. As they drove off into the distance, the small one on the left shouted, "Cheer up, you tosser!" As I crossed the road and carried on to college, I thought to myself, those guys are going nowhere. Driving around construction vans, laughing at innocent civilians won't help them make 10 figures a month and live in Dubai in a penthouse with 5 different supercars. Those guys made my seriously annoyed face even more serious and annoyed. Perhaps I was jealous? No, there's no way I could be jealous of these clowns. I was 25 minutes late to my sociology class, my mind still full with thoughts from those guys in the van. You know those lessons when you check the clock hoping it to be over, but it feels like it's about 10 hours long? It was one of those ones. As everyone quickly left the class to go down to the canteen to grab some cold sausage rolls and soggy bacon baps, I rushed up the stairs to the library to get into the grind state mode and do work for the whole 2 hours and 45 minutes of my free double period. As I plowed through the essays, editing videos, and watching self-improvement podcasts, I began to feel a sense of boredom and felt like something was missing. While everyone was downstairs having fun in the canteen, I was tucked away in the far corner of the library, by myself, as if I was lonely. Bursting through the door came my best mate Sam, confidently strolling towards the desk, eager to tell me about what he got up to on the weekend with this sexy light-skinned thing, as he would say. I said hi to him, but didn't take my eyes off the laptop as I didn't want to get too distracted as this work had to be done. I went back into the grind mode, barely listening to a single word coming out of his mouth. He was chewing while he was eating as well. Even worse, I thought to myself. He kind of caught the memo that I didn't really want to talk or listen to him, so he left me to my own devices, rap music blasting throughout his headphones as he strolled off. A couple minutes had drifted by and there I was, still in the library getting distracted by the podcast, when Sam and Ethan burst through the door with a cheeky grin on their face. They were watching a stand-up comedian on Sam's laptop, their laughter barricading the room like a bunch of chimpanzees in the zoo. This is a disaster. I was meant to be smashing through this work, but an hour had already gone by and I barely made any progress. They were getting in the way of me reaching my goals. I can't stand this anymore. Let's go to the conference room to study instead, I said to myself. Packing up my notepad, laptop and pencil case, I was headed to the door of the library when something stopped me. I couldn't remember what the joke was that the comedian said, but I felt something golden light up inside my body, something that I hadn't experienced for a very long time. Sam and Ethan saw me crack a slight smile and ordered me to sit down and watch the final 34 minutes of the stand-up comedy. That moment switched something inside my brain, and as Sam slowly saw the seriousness trickle out of my body, he told me something that I still preach to this day. It went like this. Bro, sometimes it's not always about doing the next thing, being in a rush, or working all the time. Life is also there to be enjoyed. Be in the moment for a bit and don't worry about ticking off the next task. Enjoy yourself! That was probably one of the funniest and enjoyable double periods I had ever had throughout my time in college. You know when you were in a school as a kid and the teacher was telling you off, then you glance at your friend who's trying hard not to laugh, and you both burst into laughter, making your ribs and face ache. I had one of those amazing laughs. As if that sense of loneliness and boredom was cured. We watched stand-up comedy, played table tennis, and just roamed around the college like we were little kids again. The past few weeks started to unravel in my mind. I was cutting off important relationships just so I could self-improve and do the work, which was ironically having the opposite effect. I realized I was always thinking about the future, not being in the now, always being in the do mode, causing me to live a pretty miserable and boring life. I began to realise how important it is to spend time with friends, chill out with your family, and quite simply have a laugh. And I came to the realisation that those three skinheads blasting drum and bass remix of Adele was a sign for me to loosen up a bit and not be so serious, even if it does take listening to a drum and bass remix of Adele. I would not recommend. You see, I've always been quite a driven and motivated person, always training hard in the gym, making sure all of my schoolwork is done, and working hard on another project on top of that. Growing up with two brothers, me being the middle one, there's always been lots of competition and testosterone at the dinner table, seeing who can do the most push-ups, or even doing ice cold plunges at 1 AM in the morning. Don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely not against self-development, working hard and being driven towards your vision. This is amazing. I just feel like sometimes we get so lost in our tasks and duties, always trying to tick off the next task or keeping ourselves as busy as possible, that we don't leave time or space to take a step back from the mission and just be for a bit, instead of always in the do mode. Just be, just enjoying ourselves in the moment, seeing our friends, having a laugh, or just having a bit of fun. Two people that can represent this well is David Goggins and Ricky Gervais. David Goggins is relentless, always working, one of the most disciplined humans on the planet, embracing discomfort and promoting tackling your inner bitch voice. Ricky Gervais, however, is a stand-up comedian that takes a mick out of everybody in the world, always able to have a laugh and not take anything too seriously. I think a balance between the two of these is brilliant. Now, I've got a question for you. When is the last time you had one of those rib aching, cheek aching, tears nearly streaming, about to fall off your chair laughs? One of the best feelings in the world is having a laugh with your friends or family. I bet your favourite self-improvement YouTuber has never said that. When is the last time you took a step back from your computer, switched off your phone, took your head out of the books and just done nothing and chill out for a bit? There's a clear reason why these being bored videos are blowing up on YouTube at the moment, like my toilet after a chicken curry. Also, social media is a killer for this one. Online, you have hundreds of gurus on the internet saying you need to work all the time, you need to work, saying you can only be happy once you have 100 grand a month, or 5 Lamborghinis, or not to go out with a few drinks with your mates as it will poison you and decrease your productivity by 1,000,000%, or be a lone wolf and cut everyone else off. You don't need a social life. This is all complete bullshit. If we are so focused on the future, we begin to slowly forget about the present moment, the real life things that happen day to day. The quote at the end of this video will perfectly symbolize this. Our relationships with people start to slowly drift away, never being able to enjoy simple things like a burger or going to the movies, because we're so self-conscious that our future self will be devastated at your life or death situation, or that it doesn't align with what your favorite self-improvement YouTuber says, so you're not allowed to do it. We're coming to the end of this video, so I just wanted to try put all of this video into a monkey analogy, a simple representation that even your nan could understand. We will call the monkey Gary. Gary has been into self-development for a while, doing meditation, working hard, and being super productive. Gary thinks that he shouldn't have fun or go out with his friends as it will distract him from the grind. Gary does this for a while and begins to get bored and feels as if something is missing. Gary keeps consuming self-improvement content along the way, giving him more of a reason to keep going with the grind. Gary's relationships begin to fall apart and he begins to pay less attention to the important people in his life. After having a wise encounter with Grandad Monkey, Gary finally realizes it is okay to have a laugh with his monkey friends and sometimes take a step back from his monkey work, as, after all, there is more to monkey life than just working. Gary still is super productive and gets his work done, but when it is time not to work, he is fully present in his relationship, not thinking about ticking off the next task, and able to have a laugh and not take life too seriously. Happy Gary. As promised, here is a beautiful quote from Kung Fu Panda from the GOAT, Master Oogway. It goes like this: "There is a saying, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present."